My name is Kevin Powell. I'm an activist, a writer of 12 books, and a public speaker here in the United States of America. I live in New York City and Brooklyn, New York. My life is dedicated to serving people of all backgrounds, helping people to help themselves. And my life is dedicated to being a bridge builder around art and culture and communication and language, which is why I support this project, Ebony English. I mean, for whatever it's worth, I mean, English is probably the dominant language on the planet at this point. And I think it's important, no matter where people are, they have some working knowledge of English because it helps to connect. You know, I mean, and we know English is a legacy of slavery and colonialism, you know, but here we are. It's a language that people speak, you know. And I just think it helps if people are able to be bilingual, no matter what you. I say that to Americans as well. I don't think Americans should just speak. Most Americans just speak English. I think we should learn Spanish. We should learn Portuguese. We should learn French and Arabic and Chinese. Some of the more important languages or bigger languages around the world that'll help you speak to way more people. But I do think it's important, for brothers and sisters in Brazil, because correct me if I'm wrong. Brazil, Portugal, and maybe a few countries in Africa, there's not a lot of countries that actually speak Portuguese.
Oh, well, we're definitely excited about the partnership that we have with Ebony English to be able to expand our program to another country, to be able to share what we've learned, to share the experiences that you have, what you have to offer, so that we can grow, as an organization, because the foundation of it is the different cultures and the diversity and the different people that we're able to meet. So adding Ebony English as a node on our network, being able to work together is absolutely fantastic. In and of itself, because it is our heritage and it's who we are, it's just an extension of us. So you are who you are no matter where you're at. If you're in Africa or if you're in the United States, this is who we are. So it's just a part of being who you are, even though it may not be sometimes culturally or society-wise what they actually do. We're not going to let that change who we are and where we come from. So.
People label everything.
People label everything.
And it's like sort of lazy for them to do that, because it's just like, okay, so you're in this category and you're in that category and you're in that category, but most people really, they do a whole bunch of things,
Sure.
So it's sort of like a lazy way to just like divide people for no good reason, just so that you can, just so the powers that be can, know where to put you, so that when they want to do stuff with you, they can take you out of that category, But most people, they belong in a whole bunch of categories,
Sure.
So it is what it is. It's a difficult, the whole racial thing, it's like such a difficult thing, because although like individual people, they may not care about it, or they may not want to dwell on it, or they want to get beyond it, the powers that be, really, it's easy for them to sort of divide everybody, it's beneficial. And it's awful. It's an awful thing, but it's beneficial for them to divide people, because, divide and conquer. About, am I a black artist, or do I try to do certain things? It's not even that I really try. It's just my identity, because of how I grew up and, where I live and, the people that I know. So it's just the way it is,
You have to be brave enough, be daring enough to dream. And not only just to dream, but to hold on to that dream as if someone is going to steal it away from you if they had the chance to do it. Why? Because there are people who do try to steal another person's dream, whether consciously or not. So you have to look at a dream as the most rare diamond that you could possibly find. And it's a diamond that needs to be taken care of. So you hold that dream and you wipe it down every day, you clean it, you shine it, you hold it in your hand, because It's precious, and you don't let it go. Anyone else has to say, even if what they're saying sounds like it's positive or sounds like it is encouraging, you know you. And if you don't know you, you got to take the steps to find out who you are. But once you do, and once you do have a dream, watch out and watch it. And that's what you have to do. And I would say this, that more often than not, those who dream are the ones who get to take a slice of life as much as they want and enjoy it. And those that don't are watching us, the dreamers, dream and enjoy our lives exactly how we wished our lives would be, or more, or better. There's nothing wrong with dreaming. Go ahead and do it. Who's going to stop you?
A lot has to do with your perception of Africa. So if you feel or think that, as I did, I thought, like when I was growing up, if you called me an African, that was an insult, because my perception of Africa was very bad. So to call me that, I wanted nothing to do with that. And that's still the case here. A lot of people, students, people of all ages, have a misconception about Africa. So therefore, they want no connection to Africa. So again, they try lightening their skin. They try, there's a lot of things that they would do to distance themselves. But as I heard him say earlier, a lot of sessions we cause people to see the beauty and the culture of Africa. So that means now I'm proud to associate with Africa. I'm now proud to say that I'm African. As like I said, growing up, you called, because on television all I saw was, in Africa, everybody was hungry. Whenever they came on television, the kids had no clothes on, flies around their mouth.
Ebola.
So
the same Brazil.
So you're calling me that? I don't want to be
that.
that. But now, after going there, after seeing, and now we're looking to expose the world to the truth, the beauty, and it changes people's hearts and their minds about a place that they call the dark continent. There's nothing dark about Africa. It's just people's ignorance of Africa that's dark. It's not that the continent itself is dark.
I think people should be proud of their native tongue. Whatever your native tongue is, you should speak it. But I think that, I know for a fact there's so many black folks in America who have always been interested and curious about Brazil, and I do think, like when I went to Brazil, at first I was intimidated by the Portuguese, but then I realized, Latin-based language, I speak Spanish, a lot of the words are similar. I just had to adjust my mindset. And I think the same thing applies for Brazilians who speak Portuguese, who want to learn English. And English is actually harder to me than Portuguese and Spanish. I do think that. I think English is a difficult language because a lot of Americans don't speak English well. I can say it, I'm American, I grew up here, But I do think it's important because, we have to be able to speak with each other around the world, as black people. When I think about South Africa and the anti-apartheid movement, a lot of the South Africans that I've worked with speak in their native tongues, and in a lot of African nations there's many dialects, there's many languages. But the thing that I was struck by, the South Africans, most of them spoke English. They all spoke English as well, and that allowed African Americans and South Africans to develop this bond. And so when Nelson Mandela came out of prison and he came to America, there was this instant love for him, because they weren't completely isolated. And I think that's important. The black people all around the world would love, Brazil is a tremendously important country, tremendously important history with black people, and a lot of black folks don't know that history who live outside of Brazil, and part of it is the barrier language-wise. And so I think it's important, and I just think people should know another language. I don't think you should go through life not knowing the basics of another language. I love Brazil I love the people of Brazil. I love the culture and the history of Brazil, and I cannot wait to come back to Brazil soon, very soon. I can promise that. You know. Number two, know that there are people in America, in the United States of America, who love and support your country and support programs like Ebony English. I do as an American, as an African American, and anything that I can do to help and support you all, I will do from here in New York City. Number three, it's never too early or never too late to learn anything, including English, you know, including another language. We just need to understand that we are students from the moment that we're born until the moment that we die. You know, we're students forever. We just have to be open to learning, you know, and to growing. That's important. And the last thing I will say is how important it is love, love, love. Self-love. We've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to live spiritually. We've got to take care of ourselves physically. We've got to take care of ourselves mentally. And we need to proclaim always how beautiful and powerful we are as a people. And we need to love our communities. That's important, you know. Those are the things I want to share, you know, with the students of Ebony English. That love piece, that's got to be the foundation for everything. Love yourself, love your people, love your community, love your country, and do everything you can to uplift Brazil. Do everything you can to empower Brazil for the people, for regular people. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter if you're poor. I come from poverty. I grew up tremendously poor. I mean, my mother and I had nothing. But the one thing that saved my life, other than faith, you know, and hard work, was education. You know, learning. And not just in school, but always learning. You know, everywhere I go, trying to learn something new every single day, every month, every year. That makes all the difference in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I'd say. You know, grab your education and hold on to it, but know that education means nothing if you're not in control of it yourself. If you're not the driver of the car, of the ship, of the boat.
That I'm following my heart, even though I felt that all the people look at me like, okay, it's really cool, but what's going on with you, you know, African culture? And I'm still like, this is something that it's very, very strong inside of me, this African culture, this rhythm, this like everything that connected to Africa is making me always so like my heartbeat are starting to be faster every time I'm, you know. I cannot give you like an answer for this question, because there is no, when you follow your heart, you just follow your heart. And this is the best answer I can give you, because when I just woke up from a dream that told me that somehow, I don't remember the dream, but I know the same day that I knew that I have to start broadcasting African music. And people asking me, okay, I haven't visited Africa until 2007. So I was promoting African culture 7 years, and I was involved in the African community in Israel 7 years, like so much. I volunteered, and I've done everything that I could without even understand. I just followed my heart, you know. And that was my first lesson, what happened when you follow your heart, because people are starting to raise their, you know, their eyes like, what are you doing, girl? You know, what are you doing and why? And I never had a good answer. I never had a good answer.
Because you need skills. You know, if you're going to be independent, like you say, and to work for yourself, you need something to offer, because there are so many people, especially in art. You know, arts, I like to say they're like roaches, you know? It's like, they're everywhere, you know what I'm saying? Especially in a place like New York, there are so many artists in New York City, and they keep coming every day, you know, from all over the world. So you have to be on top of your game, because people who you might even say, oh, they're not very good at it, you know, they're not very good artists, Doesn't make a difference. You know, they've got other things going for them, you know, and they have skills, you know, and whatever it is, whether it's marketing or, you know, whatever, you know. So I think it's good to be independent. On the other hand of that too is that if you do work for someone, they can just fire you and you're out of a job. And then what? You know what I mean? So, you know, part of that going to school thing is to get skills and to get an education and doing something, you know, and learning how to do it and do it well. But then also, if you are fired, you know, you have something else that you can do to make money. You know, in New York, it's sort of, I've heard people say a lot that it's easy to kind of hustle here. Like you can get money doing different things, you know, like even just standing on the street corner, like selling stuff. Like if you make things, whatever, you know. There's a lot of different things that you can do that doesn't involve working for someone. You know, even like if you got together like a collective of people and started a business doing something. Unfortunately, honestly, I feel that a lot of people, I would say lazy. You know, they're lazy. They just want to get up and go to work. And it's lazy, and it's also sort of fair of not having a regular paycheck, you know. But it's not a bad thing, you know, because everybody can't be independent. You know, it's just the way it is, you know. I mean, we may want to be like, oh, don't work for the man, or, you know, do your own thing and whatever. But, you know, realistically, everybody's not going to do that. You know, there are people that are going to be the workers, that are going to work for someone else. You know what I mean? And then there are people who kind of, like, create things and are innovative and whatever, you know. And it's not like one is good and one is bad, whatever. It is what it is, you know. I mean, some people are not going to think of an idea and start like a company, you know. It's just not going to happen, you know. But on the other hand, if there are people who want to do that and who can't do that, I would say go for it, you know, if you're able. But you have to give it 110%, you know, otherwise it's not going to work. And it's just as simple as that, no matter where you are, you know, whether you're in New York or if you're in Brazil or wherever, you know, you have to put your all into something, whatever it is, you know, whatever it is that you're doing, you have to give it 110%. And then if you have to kind of do it on the side because you have to work at a regular job or whatever, you know, it's even more challenging. But yes, of course it's doable, you know, you can do anything. That's another thing that I think, you know, I mean, people, they're like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. It's like, if you really want something bad enough, you can do it, you know? I mean, as long as you're like alive, you know, like why can't you do it? You know, wrong with presenting yourself. Like if you're black and you want to paint some black people, well, go ahead and do that. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to conform to something that's outside of you because it's better. You know, so you don't have to like do artwork, or any other kind of work, even, you know, like working for someone, and do that because it's better than doing what you want to do. You know, do what you want to do. You know, I mean, people are very different. We're all different. We're all unique. We may be part of a diaspora or part of a group or whatever, but we're still individuals. And you have to kind of take care of yourself and do your own thing, you know, even if it helps other people in the long run. You still have to do your own thing because, you know, everybody's important. You know, you don't have to be like, oh, I have to help all the black people everywhere. You know what I mean? You could help yourself, and then you help them as well. Like, you know, just because. That's just the way it happens, you know? But you definitely have to take care of yourself and do what you want to do, you know?
When you're starting to follow your heart, your life is changing without even you cannot control. You cannot control on the changes that happen in your life, because when you follow your heart and when you start to go your way, your path, things are starting to happen, and you cannot control it. Everybody is the same. Like, we are human beings, and there are no difference. Everybody wants to feel happy. Everybody wants to feel good with themselves. And it's a very powerful thing, because if people would have understand that everybody is the same and everybody wants the same thing, we want to be happy. We want to feel joy. We just want to feel joy. I think that if there are students that are bored in learning English, I think the best way is to take songs that you like and to start to work with the words in the song. and then you can, you know, combine music with words and translate the words and play with it, and then you can maybe feel more intrigue of learning a new language. And also movies. Don't see movies with subtitles. You know, just see movies like that you like in English without subtitles, and that's the fun way to learn English.
Some of the rappers that inspire me, rappers like KRS-One, Public Enemy. They had a group called X-Clan. You know, they're not around no more, but they were really good. Who else? You know, Big Daddy Kane, Kool Moe Dee. You know, these are old school rappers, real old school. Some of the Africa Bambaataa, you know, yeah, big time. You know, yeah, these are some of the early rappers. You know, Rum DMC. You know, when I was coming up, and there was a few others. You know, at the time. But yeah, these are the ones that would inspire me, particularly Public Enemy. Because see, I'm a poet. I used to write poetry, and sometimes, you know, I still write some poetry. And in some of the books, I have some of my poems. You know, because I used to go around and do the poetry. Up here in New York, they call it open mic or spoken word. So I used to do spoken word, open mic. I used to go around, and you know, and I was pretty good. I mean, they had some really good poets, and I used to like hearing other poets as well as doing my poetry. And so some of my poems are in the book.
I did very well in New York. They called me a country boy when I first got there because I'm from the South, and I talk different from the New Yorkers. And you know, I said to myself, before I leave, they're gonna love me. I'm gonna make them love me, and when I come into the office, they're gonna say, "Hey," just like I say, "Hey," because in New York, nobody walks in and says, "Hey." You know, that's a Southern thing. So when you're up north, you know, the people react differently to how you speak than how you do down south or how you dress. So like when I was down south many times, I had to wear something that looked more like khakis and a tucked-in shirt in order for certain people to take me seriously. But when I was in New York, I could wear whatever I woke up in that day and knock on the door and people would take me seriously because they were focused more on what I was saying than how I appeared, right? Down south, it's big that you come with the right appearance and also talking something that's worth hearing. Well, you know, I'm glad to know that you're learning English. I need to learn your language, though. You are just as important to anybody in this world as anybody else. So, you know, you guys just keep pushing. If there's an injustice over there, believe that you can do something about it by coming together. Hopefully, maybe one day I can actually make it to Brazil and meet you in person. But I want you to stay positive, stay focused, and keep your mind on the right track, because there's going to be a lot of things in this world that try to pull you off and try to get you to focus on the wrong things. But you can be whatever you want to be, whenever you want to be it.
I think we have to really own up to the fact that we are different, you know, and it's okay to be different, you know. Different don't mean better or worse. It just means that we're different, you know. The creator created us different, you know. We just have a different outlook on life. We have a different way of approaching life, and we need to honor that, you know, and respect that. We don't have to try to be like anybody else. You know, I was just reading something a little while ago where they said to imitate someone else is kind of like to disrespect yourself, you know, because to imitate someone else, think that somehow they're better than you know, you do a disservice to yourself. It's like you're not honoring who you really are. So I think that the key is to really discover who you really are, to discover your own beauty, your own work, your own value, and to embrace it. And once you embrace it, you realize, wow, the people that you're trying to be like are really trying to be like you, because they took everything that you had, you know, and they made you think that they originated or they invented it, but they didn't. It really came from you. I mean, some of the most successful business people never finished high school, never got a college diploma, a high school diploma, or a college degree. So you could be successful just a matter of if you're passionate, you have the determination, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to be successful. You could be successful no matter like how many degrees, whether you have a degree or no degree, whether you have a diploma or no diploma, whether you have a certificate or no certificate. Don't let that stop you, because it didn't stop me. I mean, when I had the idea to start this, even when I was programming, I didn't have a degree to program. I taught myself. You know, I remember I was working at a hospital, and you know, one of the doctors, he came, he showed me a program, and he said, "Well, look, this is like the new program that people are using." He said, "Yeah, I know you like, you know, this kind of stuff." He said, "Here, play with it." He gave me a program. I started playing around with it, and I taught myself. I took a couple of classes, but I never got like a degree or certificate, and I started learning by doing. So a lot of times you learn by doing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. I tell everybody that. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Actually, I have a sign on my wall. It says, if you want to know the difference between a master and a beginner, the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. So that means in order to become a master at anything, you have to be prepared to make mistakes. You have to be prepared to fail. Because you're going to make mistakes, and you may fail a couple of times, but don't let that stop you. You know, don't compare yourself to other people. You know, they have their own journey, you have your journey. They have their own process, you have your own process. For anyone who's, you know, involved in the English, and, you know, the idea is to believe in yourself. You know, I think that's one of the keys. Always believe in yourself, always believe that, you know, you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to. And it doesn't matter, you know, how you sound. You know, believe me, because I speak English, and there's sometimes where I'm self-conscious about, like, you know, how I sound, but it doesn't really matter. The idea is, you know, just being able to get your point across. As long as people understand what it is that you're trying to say, that's what really matters. And so don't be afraid to practice, to make mistakes. You know, even if you don't get it right the first time, that it doesn't sound right the second or the third time, don't give up, don't stop. You know, because practice is what's going to make you better. You know, the more you practice, the better you get. You know, so don't be afraid of messing up, and that it's not coming out right, or it's not sounding how you think it should sound, because, you know, everybody starts somewhere. You know, and it takes time, and eventually you'll get it, and eventually it'll all come together, and then one day you'll look up and you say, "Wow, you know, okay, you know, I'm doing what I set out to do, and I'm getting the results I was hoping to get, and things are just working out great." So, but you got to stay in there. You know, you got to be in it. How they say you have to be in it to win it. You know, so you have to just stay in it, keep practicing, be patient. You know, be patient, patience. You know, that's the key. You know, and just believe in yourself. Don't give up on yourself, and don't compare yourself to other people, because everybody have their own process. Everybody, it just takes a different time. So when it's your time, you'll know it. You know, so yeah. So I wish you all the best. I wish you a lot of success. And one day I'll see you here in New York, and then we'll go have something to eat, and you'll order in English.
This is the attitude that you seem to be telling me that the people in Brazil are having. I am not. I will not. I have not. Get the knots out. You teach them. Get rid of the knots. And what you have is, I am, I will, I have,
Oh, yes.
I can.
You're completely right. This is simple.